So up to this point, Sigma has dabbled in the world of cinema, but we are here for a very exciting reveal. And we are coming to you from the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures. Yes, that Academy. Very exciting to see the big reveal for Sigma's new Aizu Primes. These are fantastic, dedicated cinema lenses, and we're going to show them to you today. Now, to say that Sigma have had a prolific year is quite the understatement. I mean, the Sigma BF has been released, they've had tons of lenses come out, and now we've got 12 new lenses, the Aizu Primes. These are all dedicated cinema lenses made for a PL mount or Sony E mount. And of course, being cinema lenses, they're gonna be a match series. The vast majority are gonna be the same size, roughly the same weight, between 1.6 and 1.7 kilograms. And what's incredibly remarkable, in fact, a world first, is this entire set are all gonna be T1.3 aperture lenses. Now, in the past, Sigma have made cinema lenses, but they've been rehoused SLR designs, but these are truly novel optical formulas. We haven't seen these before, and so these are made specifically for cinema. They're intended to go on cameras like the ARRI Alexa LF series or the Sony Venice cameras. They provide full frame coverage. Now, for those that might not be familiar with cinema lenses, when we talk about f-stop versus t-stop, f-stops are part of a mathematical equation that determine the opening of the aperture inside the lens, but although that's accurate for depth of field, it does not necessarily represent the actual light transmission. So in the cinema world, we use t-stops, which guarantee a specific amount of maximum light transmission. So the fact that all of these lenses can guarantee light transmission at T1.3 is a remarkable achievement that's incredibly fast as far as cinema lenses go. Of course, these are all manual focus. They've got geared aperture rings and manual focus rings for cinematic use with focus pullers. Now, a really nice thing about these lenses is that these will work with the Zeiss extended data protocols. So it'll transmit all of your EXIF data to the camera, which is very handy, especially in post-production. However, these are not relying on any sort of digital corrections. These lenses are all corrected for aberrations, chromatic issues, all optically. Another thing I want to point out here, I asked Sigma, what kind of look are you going for with these lenses? You know, something more vintage, something softer, lower contrast. These are actually designed to be incredibly sharp with a very modern, clean aesthetic. So sharp and a lot of contrast. All right, so we've actually managed to get our hands on some of these lenses and play with them on camera, see some footage. So again, this is by no stretch a review. This is just a first look here, but I do want to mention some things that we've noted. So first off, when it comes to the aperture, shooting wide open at f1.3, this still has a very crisp look to it. We're not getting like a dreamy softness. These are very crisp, very modern looking lenses. As well, the bokeh, we actually get a pleasant cat's eye effect at 1.3, but that goes away in a lot of cases by like 1.8 or 2. So you get a nice round, even in extreme corners, nice round specular highlights if you don't want that cat's eye effect. Other things that we notice here, these all actually tend to focus quite close. Obviously, we don't have exact numbers because it depends on the dozen lenses out there. There's going to be 8 core lenses available now, and we should see the other ones fairly shortly, like later in the year here, but they do seem to focus quite close. And although I did mention the weights around 1.6 to 1.7 kilograms, when they're actually in hand, they're actually really easy to manipulate. Like if you're going to do handheld footage, like just walking around, no tripod support, no monopod, it's actually really good for just that handheld documentary style look to it. The last thing I want to mention is flare. So they've actually done a really good job of controlling flare in here. Basically, ghosting is very minimal. You see a little bit of it. Flare is well controlled, but they still wanted to keep just a touch of natural flare and washing out as the lens passes by subjects that are backlit and stuff, which is desirable from a cinematic look. So we've got a dozen exciting prime lenses. The spherical cinema glass is really interesting. It's also very affordable. Just bear with me here, okay? We're looking at about roughly $8,300 per lens, and there might be better pricing if you get them as a kit. I know that seems expensive, but you compare these to other spherical cinema optics like from Cooke or from Zeiss Super Speeds, Tokina Vistas. These are actually an insanely good bargain. Certainly the rental houses will pick these up, but they're at a price that actually a lot of owners and operators might be able to buy for themselves. And while we're on the topic of money and budgets, I mean, we are incredibly grateful to be here in Los Angeles to attend this Sigma event, but we're here on our own dime, and that is made possible by people like you, because if you get PetaPixel.com memberships, that really helps us out. $3 a month, $30 a year, we use that money to fund interesting projects like this and make them come to life. You also get discounts on our merch store, you get access to our JPEG and RAW files from the lens lenses and cameras that review so you can study those for yourselves. And you also can peruse PetaPixel.com ad-free. We really appreciate the support because it really does make these amazing projects possible. All right, so I breezed the shack. Once you know it, there's two more products that we want to talk about here. Now, Sigma's also making some Cine zoom lenses. These are mirrorless specific lenses. They're going to be out for Sony E mount and L mount. One we already know about because we've kind of seen a lot of development cycle in this lens, but still not out. Should be hopefully later this year. It's the 28-45 T2, which happens to also be a fantastic movie. I'm sure it's here in the museum somewhere. But the other one is the 28-105 T3, which is probably also a Terminator movie that might be in, I don't know. Anyways, there's too many of those. So this 28-105 is very clearly inspired by the 28-105 mirrorless photographic lens. We got to see it here today. Beautiful designs. So of course these lenses are going to be designed for cinematic use. They've got geared manual focus rings, really long throw on that manual focus. Now what I am kind of curious about though is these are still autofocusing zooms, which will be very handy for video work, but the manual focus does feel damped and very smooth. Now we were wondering, is there a helicoid? I mean, again, I don't know for sure. We got to wait and see how these lenses come out, but the manual focus is quite smooth. It's got just a disengage for autofocus manual focus. I suspect that the focusing is still focused by wire, but what I will say is it's incredibly responsive. I'm not noticing any lag when I'm manually focusing there. So if that is the case, they've done a great job of making it basically feel like a classic manual focus ring. All right, so we had a really fun time at this event. You don't often get to see 14 lenses, technically 13 lenses announced all at once. This is pretty wild, but this is what it really does show. I mean, Sigma has certainly invested some attention in the cinema world, with their Cine Primes, but now having these dedicated novel lens designs, this shows real dedication and investment in going forward in the cinema world. So that's really exciting. And hopefully these lenses, as we get to see more and more work out of them, will prove themselves to be very useful in the industry. Jordan wants to review these lenses. I'm sure he's excited to get his hands on them. I don't know logistically how we're going to review that many lenses at once. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I think it's going to be a madness, but really fun stuff to see. Sadly, though, our time in Los Angeles is very short and it is coming to an end. I wish we could spend more time here. But first off, big thanks to Sigma for just having this event and inviting us. It was cool to see this launch event. And again, remember, we're only here because of your support through the PetaPixel.com membership. So again, I just want to shout that out. We really appreciate that. We also did a podcast with the CEO of Sigma, Yamaki Kazuto, and we would love for you guys to watch that. You can check it out on this exact same channel or all of the favorite podcasting apps you might have to listen to stuff. So we'd love to see you guys there as well. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you soon with more on PetaPixel.